Shadow of the Colossus isn't a sad game, it's a tragic one. So what's the difference? A sad game is about horrible things happening to good people, and a tragic game is about a good person doing horrible things. Something a reasonable person would only do if they thought they were being righteous. But is it even a tragic story? Shadow of the Colossus uses a minimal storytelling style to try and communicate as little as possible and leave as much up to interpretation as possible. This can be incredibly risky, as this style can often lead to garbled messes of a story, like that Jennifer Lawrence Mother movie or the ending of Neon Genesis Evangelion. But Colossus is quite clever in what it leaves up to interpretation. It doesn't use metaphors to help the viewer find a message within the game. It doesn't communicate motivation to us. But I suppose that's not true. We know why Wanda is slaying these colossi to bring back Mono, but the game deliberately only tells us one definitive thing about these characters that happened before the start of the game, that Mono was a maiden who was sacrificed because she was believed to be cursed. Everything else is absent, including the relationship between Mono and Wanda. We know he's determined to bring her back, but it's left ambiguous as to why, or if she even really was cursed. Then maybe both characters are genuinely evil. We see Wanda as being manipulated by Dorman, and while he was undoubtedly tricked into being possessed, nothing indicates that his intentions were noble to begin with. Mono may not even know who Wanda is. Who's to say he's not a stalker-like figure who fawned over the impure maiden and sought to make her his, and stole her corpse to resurrect her as his dearly beloved? Maybe he's some kind of cultist who wishes for the curse she'll bring upon the land. The consensus is that Dorman tricked Wanda into committing an evil act, but by leaving everything so ambiguous, Wanda may have always had a blackened heart, and slaying the Colossi simply made his outside reflect his inside. Speaking of Dorman, we have no evidence to prove he's evil. We've just been conditioned to think that because of his devil horns and pitch black colour scheme, which often represents a lack of innocence and a sense of foreboding despair. But he never does, or maybe never has a chance, to do anything all that despicable. Maybe Dorman is a benevolent god, and he has been sealed away for being heretical to another god that Emon and his ilk worship. The legend of Dorman that we're presented with indicates that he has the power to revive the dead, which he seemingly does with Mono. However, it's possible that the prophecy surrounding her cursed destiny only comes about because she's resurrected with Dorman's power. We do know that Dorman's essence is what causes Wanda's deterioration, but I have a hunch that any Eldritch Being's essence would be detrimental to the health of any mortal, no matter how pure said entity might be. I'm not trying to be a Dorman apologist or anything. I'm just saying that we only ever see him do what he promised to do in resurrecting Mono, and possibly Aggro, and leaving them seemingly uncorrupted, nor are we ever told what crime he committed to get him sealed away. I started to follow this train of thought because over the course of the game, your perception of what you're doing to the Colossi changes as you slay more and more of them. We initially think that these are fearsome beasts that we have to destroy before they escape and wreak devastation on the world, but eventually, we start to suspect we might be in the wrong and we're just killing innocent creatures for our own selfish gains. While I agree with that interpretation, I just want to propose the same assumption could be made about both Wanda and Dorman. We initially perceive them as good and evil respectively, and unlike the Colossi, we never alter that view of them. We still think of Wanda as a good person who's just been tricked by a malevolent being. But that's the real beauty of Shadow of the Colossus' minimalistic storytelling. It doesn't tell us most of the story behind it, but it doesn't complicate itself to become alien to any viewers who might be disengaged from the game. And that's the real thing I wanted to talk about, how powerful interpretive beginnings can be, shaping the outlook of the entire story rather than just what happens after. Shadow of the Colossus continues to be scrutinized because it's a story even a child could understand, but not even a scholar could definitively conclude on. It's the perfect mixture of high-level and basic storytelling that builds intrigue while not alienating viewers. By skipping over the characters' motivations and starting the story at its most exciting moment, Colossus has removed all the slow build-up and groundwork most linear stories have to deal with. Not only does it do this so well that it doesn't confuse new viewers, but it also adds unfathomable depth to the story by leaving such crucial aspects up to wild speculation, creating a unique and artistic type of storytelling. While we will never know just what Shadow of the Colossus is truly about, I adore that it can be theorized about without being so complex that only experienced critics have any authority to speak on it. It's truly a tale for everyone. I'll be back in 2 days. In the meantime, here's a video about whether Silent Hill 2 is good at supernatural horror.